There comes a time in every man's life when certain shifts in the body are no longer just subtle hints. They become daily realities. And for men over 60, one of the most frustrating and confidence-shaking of these changes is the decline in sexual performance, a gradual softening of what used to be a natural, automatic response, turning once fiery moments of intimacy into lukewarm memories and hesitant expectations. And while many silently chalk this up to aging, accepting it as an inevitable loss, the truth is far more empowering, because modern urologists, armed with decades of clinical insight and supported by cutting-edge nutritional science, are now revealing that nature has been quietly offering powerful, effective, and surprisingly simple tools to reverse this decline and restore erectile strength, stamina, and sensitivity. And it starts not with a pill or an expensive supplement, but with something you've seen 1,000 times in grocery aisles, something sitting quietly in fruit bowls across the world, something often overlooked, underestimated, and rarely connected to virility. Fruit, but not just any fruit, because specific fruits have been studied, documented, and repeatedly shown to dramatically improve erectile function in older men by addressing the root causes of the issue: impaired blood flow, hormonal imbalance, oxidative stress, and poor endothelial function. And what makes this revelation so powerful is that it speaks to the body's natural ability to heal and perform when it's properly nourished. Because contrary to popular belief, erectile dysfunction is not always about low testosterone or aging alone, but far more often about damaged blood vessels, restricted arteries, inflamed tissues, and cellular environments that no longer support sexual arousal and response. And fruit, real, whole, raw, nutrient-dense fruit, is uniquely equipped to combat all of those factors at once, starting with one of the most potent and clinically praised. Examples: watermelon, a fruit that may appear simple and summery, but is packed with a naturally occurring amino acid called citrulline, which converts into arginine in the body, a key building block for nitric oxide, the exact molecule responsible for relaxing blood vessels, improving circulation, and enabling blood to flow freely into the penis. And unlike synthetic medications that force this process with side effects and warnings, watermelon does it gently, naturally, and without stress on the heart or kidneys. And urologists are now confirming what traditional healers have known for generations: that a consistent intake of watermelon can mimic the effects of mild vasodilators, improving erection quality over time with zero risk. And it doesn't stop there, because the anthocyanin-rich power of blueberries is another secret weapon, with research from Harvard and the University of East Anglia showing that men who consume just a few servings of berries per week have a significantly reduced risk of erectile dysfunction due to the way flavonoids repair endothelial lining and restore capillary function. And when these berries are eaten raw, not drowned in sugar or processed into juice, their antioxidants become medicinal, healing the very mechanisms that allow arousal to become physical response. And then there's the dark red power of pomegranate, long revered in ancient medicine as a symbol of virility, now backed by science for its unparalleled ability to reduce blood pressure, enhance testosterone levels, and stimulate nitric oxide production, all while protecting the cardiovascular system. And what makes pomegranate so effective is its dual action, cleaning up the arteries while simultaneously boosting the hormonal environment needed for libido to thrive. And This is critical for men over 60, whose testosterone may have declined by up to 30 to 50% from their younger years, and whose blood vessels have been narrowed by decades of inflammatory foods, stress, sedentary habits, and environmental toxins. So when something as delicious and simple as fruit can be used as a daily intervention to reverse this damage, the impact is nothing short of life-changing. And for many older men who begin integrating these fruits into their diet, watermelon slices at breakfast, blueberries in a morning smoothie, pomegranate seeds sprinkled on a salad, the results are not just visible, but felt. As energy returns, morning erections reappear, spontaneous desire grows, and confidence begins to build again, not from a place of anxiety or performance pressure, but from a natural reawakening of the body's innate ability to respond to intimacy. And this shift is not just physical, it's emotional, relational, and deeply personal, because for many, the loss of erectile strength was never just about sex. It was about identity, about feeling alive, about maintaining a connection to the passionate, masculine self that so many feared was slipping away. And now, through the quiet power of nature's most colorful gifts, that self is not only reachable, it's fully restorable. And what's even more fascinating is that once this journey into fruit-powered vitality begins, many men find that the benefits extend far beyond just the bedroom. Because as circulation improves, inflammation subsides, and hormone levels find a healthier rhythm, the entire body starts to respond with greater clarity, endurance, and optimism. And this new internal landscape becomes the foundation not just for stronger erections, but for a renewed enthusiasm for life itself. And this is because the fruits urologists now recommend aren't merely acting on one system. They're working on multiple levels simultaneously, and one of the most underrated heroes in this story is the humble banana, often dismissed as a basic fruit. But when examined closely, it becomes clear that its high potassium content plays a vital role in regulating blood pressure and reducing strain on the heart. Two key factors that directly affect erectile strength, because the penis is essentially a hydraulic system driven by blood flow. And when the pressure is unstable or the vessels are restricted, the result is softness, inconsistency, or complete failure to maintain erection. But when bananas are included in the daily routine, ideally with a source of protein to slow sugar absorption, they become a steady source of vascular support. And their impact is magnified when paired with dark-skinned grapes, particularly red and black varieties that contain resveratrol, a powerful compound that enhances endothelial function, protects testosterone-producing cells in the testes, and acts as a potent antioxidant. And studies have shown that older men who consume fruits high in resveratrol experience not only better erectile response, but also improved stamina and recovery times, which means they can enjoy intimacy without feeling drained or sore afterward. And this is a game changer for those who've begun to associate sex with effort or disappointment. Because when the body begins to cooperate, instead of resist, confidence returns, and with it, the willingness to explore, initiate, and connect more freely. And another surprising fruit that is gaining attention in the urology field is the tart cherry, specifically Montmorency cherries, which are rich in melatonin and anthocyanins. And these compounds not only improve sleep and reduce inflammation, but also enhance nitric oxide bioavailability. giving the vascular system a gentle boost during both arousal and rest. And sleep is often overlooked when discussing erectile health. Yet it is one of the most critical components of hormone regulation, tissue repair, and mental clarity in poor sleep. Something many seniors quietly endure due to pain, anxiety, or irregular routines can silently kill desire, responsiveness, and energy levels. But when sleep is improved through natural means, the next day energy often translates into stronger libido and more reliable erections. And this is where fruit becomes more than just food. It becomes medicine. And when used with purpose and consistency, it reshapes what aging feels like, because instead of a slow decline into frustration, there's now a slow climb back into power, into clarity, into self-respect. And perhaps one of the most powerful emotional shifts that happens during this process is the release of shame, because so many men carry a silent burden when it comes to performance. Whether it's from years of internalized beliefs about masculinity, cultural pressure, or personal disappointments in intimacy, there's often a lingering sense of failure or inadequacy that keeps them from fully engaging with their bodies or their partners. And when results start to change, not because of a drug, but because of something natural, enjoyable, and easy to access, that burden begins to lift, and in its place comes a new sense of pride, not arrogance, but a humble gratitude that says, my body can still do this. And that pride begins to influence how a man stands, how he speaks, how he engages with others. Because when you feel good in your body, when you know your body is capable of pleasure, strength, and connection, it changes how you show up in the world. And this change becomes contagious. In marriages where things had grown cold, new energy begins to enter the space, not through forced romance, but through real, visible changes in how one partner feels about themselves, and for those not in a relationship. This transformation brings with it a renewed interest in companionship, in meeting new people, in allowing touch, laughter, and affection to return, and all of it begins with fruit, with the seemingly simple choice to nourish the body each day with foods that speak directly to its deepest needs. Foods that aren't processed, synthetic, or gimmicky, but whole, alive, and full of compounds designed by nature to support reproduction, performance, and pleasure. And it's important to remember that this is not about excess or quick fixes. It's about rhythm, consistency, balance. Adding blueberries to morning oatmeal, enjoying a few slices of watermelon with lunch, sipping on pomegranate juice instead of soda, choosing cherries as an evening snack. All of these actions build momentum, and over time they create a system-wide upgrade that becomes difficult to ignore because men start waking up with more drive, less fatigue, fewer crashes, and a sharper mind. And when all of that is paired with renewed sexual performance, it's not hard to see why so many are turning to this natural, fruit-first approach as their preferred strategy for restoring bedroom confidence. Especially after 60, when every gain matters more. Every positive shift feels like a triumph, and every moment of intimacy becomes a precious reminder that age is not an enemy, but an invitation to deeper, wiser, more satisfying experiences. If we're willing to feed the body in the way it was always meant to be fed, and as this process continues, as more men over 60 begin to incorporate these carefully chosen fruits into their daily routines and start to notice subtle yet powerful changes, waking up with more energy, feeling a sense of lightness in their joints, and even rediscovering the early morning firmness they had long assumed was gone for good. What becomes undeniably clear is that the road back to sexual vitality is not paved with synthetic chemicals or uncomfortable doctor visits, but with simple acts of nourishment repeated consistently. And what once felt out of reach suddenly becomes accessible, because the body, despite age or past neglect, has an extraordinary ability to repair, rejuvenate, and respond when given the right fuel. And the more one leans into this truth, the more one begins to explore the vast range of fruits available, each with its own set of healing properties that target specific pathways involved in erection strength, blood flow, hormone production, and nerve responsiveness. And one such powerful addition that many overlook is the fig, an ancient fruit revered in multiple cultures as an aphrodisiac. And for good reason, because figs are rich in magnesium, calcium, and potassium, all of which are vital to muscular contractions and cardiovascular function. And when these minerals are supported in balance, the pelvic floor and surrounding musculature, the very structure that supports erections and orgasm, begins to strengthen naturally, improving both firmness and control. And figs also provide natural sugars and fiber, meaning they help regulate blood sugar while giving the body quick, clean energy, which is vital because insulin resistance, prediabetes, and poor glucose control are often silent killers of libido and erectile function. Yet when men begin replacing processed desserts with a few dried or fresh figs, they satisfy that sweet craving while healing the metabolic systems that drive arousal and stamina. And then there's the exotic richness of avocado, technically a fruit and not a vegetable, loaded with monounsaturated fats, vitamin E, and folate, all of which contribute to healthy testosterone levels, reduced oxidative stress, and cellular energy. And though not sweet like berries or grapes, avocado plays a crucial role in balancing hormones and supporting the kind of sustained vitality needed for sexual activity. And its fats help the body absorb fat-soluble vitamins and antioxidants from other fruits, enhancing their effects, creating a ripple that strengthens every system involved in intimate performance. And another often forgotten, yet incredibly potent fruit is kiwi, a small green or golden powerhouse packed with vitamin C, serotonin precursors, and digestive enzymes, which together improve mood, reduce inflammation, and promote gut health, a factor now known to be directly connected to hormonal balance and neurotransmitter activity related to arousal and desire. And gut health matters more than people realize, because when the microbiome is out of balance, it can interfere with how hormones are synthesized, how nutrients are absorbed, and how efficiently the body regulates stress, all of which affect erection quality and libido. So when a man adds kiwi to his breakfast or eats it as an afternoon snack, he's not just nourishing his taste buds, he's rebalancing a critical axis of health that supports confidence, presence, and enjoyment in the bedroom. And all of these small decisions compound into something greater, not just biologically, but emotionally, because when you feel like your body is cooperating instead of working against you, the fear begins to subside, the hesitation disappears, and the sense of failure that so many older men carry, often silently, without ever speaking of it, even to their doctors or partners, begins to fade, replaced with a cautious optimism that maybe, just maybe, this part of life isn't over. And that optimism turns into evidence when men begin to notice the way their partners respond differently, not just to their touch, but to their energy, their presence, their ability to engage without fear of dysfunction or embarrassment. And the emotional intimacy that flows from this cannot be overstated. Because when the pressure to perform is replaced with the joy of connection, when the anxiety over failure is replaced with the thrill of renewed capability, the bedroom becomes a place of healing, not shame, and this isn't reserved for a few lucky individuals. It's available to every man willing to step into a new relationship with his body, one based on nourishment, not punishment, on celebration, not regret, and fruit with all its color, taste, texture, and ancient wisdom becomes the bridge to that new way of being. And as this daily practice continues, men often find that the benefits extend further still. Reduced belly fat, clearer skin, brighter eyes, steadier moods, and the kind of calm, grounded energy that makes them more attractive, not just physically, but emotionally, because there's something deeply magnetic about a person who feels alive in their own skin. And fruit doesn't just feed the body, it feeds that aliveness, that sense of being fully here, fully feeling, fully open to the richness of intimacy again. Not as something forced or feared, but as something natural, earned, and deeply fulfilling. And it's in this space, this sweet spot of physical wellness and emotional awakening, that true confidence is reborn, not through pills or promises, but through the quiet daily act of saying yes to your health, to your desire, and to the possibility that the best days are not behind you, but directly ahead. And so by the time this process of daily fruit power nourishment becomes a habit, something that no longer feels like a health intervention, but simply a way of living, something shifts on a level that's not only physical or sexual, but spiritual. Because what's really happening is not just a return of stronger erections or a reignited sense of performance. It's the return of dignity, of feeling seen, of remembering that even after decades of life's demands, family obligations, career stress, or emotional wear and tear, there's still something deeply sacred and alive within the body that wants to respond, that wants to connect, that wants to feel pleasure and closeness and intimacy. And all of that begins to flow more easily when the blood is flowing well, when the nerves are clear, when a mind is at peace, and the body is bathed in nutrients that speak directly to the very vessels, tissues, and hormonal systems that have kept the heart beating and the body moving for all these years. And now, instead of ignoring the quiet messages of fatigue or accepting the slow fade into disconnection, men are learning to listen again, to listen to what the body is asking for. Not in frustration, but in curiosity, to ask what would happen if just for a few weeks they made space for watermelon instead of soda, for blueberries instead of chips, for figs instead of pastries. And in doing so, they begin to receive the answer in how they feel when they wake up, how they breathe more easily, how they stand a little taller and speak a little clearer and even touch a little more gently. Because when the body is nourished, it naturally wants to express love, and sexual health is never just about what happens behind closed doors. It's about the energy we carry into every interaction, the way we hold ourselves, the way we allow closeness to blossom, and the way we stop hiding from the vulnerability of being human. And for men over 60 who have spent years silently watching their confidence, erode every time they experienced a soft moment, every time desire was met with disappointment or avoidance. The power of reclaiming that part of themselves is indescribable, because it's not about being perfect, it's about being present. And these fruits, with their elegant simplicity, become the bridge to that presence, not through force, not through shame, but through nourishment, healing, and a growing sense of trust that maybe the body hasn't given up on them after all. Maybe it was just waiting for the right kind of attention, the kind that comes without judgment, the kind that comes with compassion and curiosity and a genuine desire to feel whole again. And in this space, something truly beautiful happens. Not only do erections return more easily, not only does stamina increase and sensitivity deepen, but relationships begin to heal. The kind of relationships where partners who had stopped reaching for one another now find their hands meeting again under the covers, where laughter returns to late-night conversations, where eyes meet with a different kind of softness and respect, and even in solitude for those not in a relationship, the self becomes a source of comfort again, the mirror no longer a reminder of decline, but a witness to revival. And this revival is not superficial. It's a rebuilding of the inner world, a quiet unfolding of joy that says, yes, you are still here. Yes, you're still needed. Yes, you're still allowed to feel this good in your body. And when that kind of joy takes root, it doesn't just change how a man moves through his home. It changes how he moves through the world, because there's a quiet power that comes from knowing your body is still capable, still worthy, still vibrant, and that power touches everything. The way you smile at strangers, the way you talk to your grandchildren, the way you walk up the stairs, the way you breathe during moments of rest. And that is what makes this journey so much bigger than food. It becomes a return to vitality, a return to self-respect, a return to the simple truth that aging does not mean diminishing. It simply means evolving, and with the right guidance, with the wisdom of science and the gifts of nature, it is absolutely possible to evolve into a version of yourself that is not weaker or less, but stronger, deeper, and more alive than you've felt in decades. And while so many voices in the world might tell you to give up, to settle, to accept decline as your new normal, there's another voice, quieter but truer, that says you still have the power to choose, you still have the right to feel, you still have the strength to rebuild, and it all begins with one small decision at a time, a handful of fruit, a choice to care, a refusal to let time define your value, because your vitality is not behind you, it's waiting right now, inside of you, ready to rise again, stronger, bolder, and more beautifully yours than ever before.